Right, let's just get straight to it. The Perfect Child by Lucinda. I'm probably going to list so many reasons why I dislike this book so much. It's reviewed incredibly well over on Goodreads. Reading is subjective, but don't have a clue because it's so unrealistic. The professional boundaries in this was just they were non-existent. The husband was the most infuriating thing about this book, and then the ending. What was the point? So here we go. Right. Christopher and Hannah. You've got Christopher and Hannah. They're a married couple. They're having fertility issues. Christopher is a surgeon. Hannah's a nurse. They work at the same hospital and they work different shift patterns. A young child is then brought into hospital because they found her tied up and they found her mum unalived. Now, Christopher has to perform surgery on Janie. And then during recovery, Christopher, at every single given moment, decides he wants to check in on her. Becomes like sort of obsessed in a way and like reading their stories, really wants Hannah to come in and visit this child. Obviously when the first attempt, Janie like reacts horribly. I mean, how would that be allowed? You're just allowed to introduce random people because you've just found her tied up and her mum killed. Surely there's going to be some distress there, and so that was annoying. Then just a little bit later on, they're allowed to take her to the park. They had a police escort or something, but they're allowed to just take her off out to a park to get her away from the hospital. And I'm just like, is that... America may be different, but that's just ridiculous. So unhinged. It was really annoying. Then anyway, they end up adopting her, of course. She's probably experiencing a lot of bad behaviours because they perceive of what her upbringing was. And you can tolerate it to a degree because, you know, if someone's gone through a bad experience in their life, then especially at a young age, you then want to help them get through it, give them like the therapy that they need, and then hopefully they progress and grow out of that. No. While Christopher is at work all the time, Hannah's at home and Janie is prohibiting all of these bad behaviours, but Christopher's got an excuse for everything. Christopher has an excuse for everything. It drove me insane. Okay, so Janie gets booted out of one school. She likes to see people bleed or make people bleed. She bit a child. They bled, obviously she got expelled. Then goes to another school, similar behaviours. At home, she's awful to Hannah. She's obviously besotted with Christopher and puts that doughy-eyed childlike thing on because Hannah's struggling and she's got an issue with the woman. They buy her a kitten because they want to see if a pet might help with her behaviours. She pokes that and makes it bleed, okay? And then instead of taking it away from her, she then actually kills it later on in the book. Christopher, in the meantime, is like, oh, but she's had a really bad upbringing. Oh, let's just let her go around killing animals, eating children's arms, treating the mother like an absolute bitch, basically. And he's just like, oh, I wanted to get in the book and punch him. Meanwhile, while this is going on, I don't know what it's like. I was fostered as a child. I wasn't adopted. Not one social worker contact. Not one. And it does explain in this book, like they're interviewing the social worker, and she's obviously explaining it was so busy, they had so many cases and stuff. It is abhorrent. Absolutely abhorrent. One of those would have contacted the social worker. The child did have some therapy, but no. Dreadful. Then, where am I at my list of things that happen? Something happens with Hannah. They conceive their own child. Sorry, I forgot to say. Christopher and Hannah actually conceived their own child. And then, whilst Hannah's nursing her baby, Janie comes in and starts stamping her feet because she wants the milk. She's jealous because she wants the milk from the tea. She just allows her. She allows this 6-year-old girl to start sucking on her tit. And then she bites it and obviously nearly rips off the nipple and needs stitches and it gets infected. Where am I? What am I actually reading? Then anyway, Christopher is like, making excuses again for Janie. It was just so bad. So bad. By this point, Hannah's pushed like to her limit. Her brain is like snapped. She's got a baby and she's thinking that Janie's possessed. She tries doing this ritual or whatever. Anyway, the baby gets injured and she gets put in a psyche ward. The baby and Janie have to go and live with Hannah's sister. Now, Hannah's sister's got children of her own. This is another thing that gets really ludicrous. She's got children of her own, husband of her own, and she then takes in these two children thinking it's only going to be for a short amount of time. Later on, Christopher's like ringing her. She's like, "Look, my husband's going away Friday. You cannot leave me with this demon child. She is literally like abusing the boys. She's horrible. I can see why it broke my sister." And he's just like, "But please, she's family." And I'm like, "Are you dumb? Are you not listening to what she's saying? Your niece and nephew are put in at risk here." And lo and behold, the auntie gets unalived, tripped down the stairs by this girl. And it's just non-stop excuse after excuse after excuse. No professional boundaries are in this book whatsoever. The social... It was just... I'm sorry, it was bad. I know I've been ranting. I normally do a 2-minute book review. We're at 5 minutes and 40 seconds. And the ending, not great. That's just my personal review on that book. I don't know if I'm going to be reading another Lucinda Berry yet or rushing out to buy one, but her saving grace for me was Saving Noah. That was amazing. That was incredible. But the other 2 books that I've read since, Off the Deep End, wasn't that bad, to be honest with you. It was alright. This, sorry. Right, I've got to go. I've worked up my blood pressure. One last thing, I'm back for more. When Christopher is talking to the auntie, and the auntie's like, "I can't have this devil child living here any longer," and he's panicking, he's trying to convince her to keep this child in her care because she'll end up in the fostering system. He then rings the social worker. Finally, we have some contact for the social worker. It's explaining the situation to the social worker. The social worker said, "Can't you call her back and try and convince her to keep them any longer?" I can't ever see that happening. Anyway, adamant it was a no. Social worker rang and it was a no. He asked for the social worker to take them both into her care because he didn't want to see them in foster care. Oh, so the social worker's just going to take these children on now. I mean, any more boundaries need crossing in this book?